So divorce can be a daunting idea with the costs and the conflict involved, and there's lots of things you can DIY. I never knew that you could DIY a divorce though, and that was possible. Pretty cool, but you know, I don't know if it's the best thing to do or not, so tell me, Nardine, how does it work?
Yeah, well look, it can be all right to do it yourself. So what you've got to do is you have to register on the Commonwealth portal. So this is just for a divorce, not property settlement, just talking about the final ending of the marriage. Register on the portal, you fill in a form. It's pretty easy to fill in, but there's some questions that people aren't sure of. It then takes you through the form. You have to print it out, you have to get it witnessed by a JP, you have to scan it, you have to upload it. So you really do need to be a little bit computer literate and have access to a scanner and a printer and all that sort of stuff. So you do all that, you pay your fee, you get given a court date, and then you serve it on the other person. So that's all good if it's a really straightforward application, particularly if it's a joint application, it all works pretty well. Where it sometimes doesn't work as well is if you want to apply for an exemption of fees, if you want to get a different court date, if it, for example, it's an application where you've say that the date of separation is this date, but you've remained living together under the one roof, you then sometimes have to provide an affidavit to say that that was the case. So there are little tricks that sometimes people don't really understand when they're filling it in. And the downside to it is that they don't understand that, they don't cover that off, and then the court's ringing them and saying we can't process this or we won't proceed until you do these things. So you're delaying it, wasting time. Of course it's got benefits of doing it yourself and not having to pay legal fees, but it's really worth perhaps doing as much of it as you can and then taking it to a lawyer and getting them to go
quickly
through
check it and make sure it's all good.
Yeah, make sure that it's fine.
Because otherwise you're paying for the court fees.
You're paying the court fee, and let me tell you, it's $865 at the moment is the court fee to pay.
And if you've messed up your form, then
well, the court's pretty good. I hope that they won't make you pay another fee, but you're going to delay it. And some people really want to have their divorce. Because they want to remarry, they want to have their divorce. Why, I ask? But they want to have their
yes,
exactly. They want their divorce done there and then, and often it's, you know, they've got their divorce party lined up, or they've just got a good reason why they want it done then, and for it then to be delayed by what could be months is pretty distressing. So the other problem people encounter is service of a divorce. Really, there are really strict rules about how it has to be served personally. The person filing the application can't serve it themselves, they have to get someone else to serve it, fill in an affidavit of service, send it off to the court. So there are some steps that if you miss just one little thing, unfortunately the court has no discretion. They have to tick these boxes. Yeah, you have to tick these boxes before the registrar will grant your divorce. So what I suggest to people is hop online, fill in the form as best you can, and then just make an appointment with someone to run through the divorce and make sure you've filled it in correctly, and especially get some advice about how you need to serve that application once it comes back from the court. And that shouldn't be a long appointment. It should only be you know, a bit of time, a bit of a lawyer's time, just to make sure that you've got it right.
So you've told me about some of the things that are a bit of a worry. So what are the benefits, I guess, in doing the DIY divorce?
Well, you know, you save legal fees. If you get a lawyer to do it from scratch, obviously that's going to be more expensive than if you do much of it yourself. You can also do it in your own time if you want. You can take your time to fill in the application. There's a sense of achievement that you've managed to do this yourself. So there are good reasons why you would want to give it a go. So I suggest give it a try, have a read through it, try filling it in, see how you go, and then
but definitely get that legal.
Get some advice at the end, and if you're not sure as you're proceeding, just make an appointment and go through it. Yeah.
Love it. So, do you need any legal advice for a DIY divorce? It's just definitely that check over at the end, really.
It's the check over at the end. It is also about separation. So,
because often there's assets and things like that, and this is just literally to end the marriage.
Yeah, this is just to end the marriage. But there is an important thing. So the rule is that you have to be separated for a year before you can apply for a divorce. And what separation means in that context is the date that one person says to the other, this marriage is, or this relationship is over. So it doesn't mean the date you physically separate, it means the date that the relationship ends, what we call irreconcilably, so with no hope of getting back together.
Yep.
And people do have that conversation where they agree that the marriage is at an end, or sadly one person says, I think the marriage is at an end, but they stay living together for children or for financial reasons. So the date of separation can be the date that one person says to the other, this is over.
Okay.
So that's pretty important, because that date has to be, you can't apply until 1 year after the date of separation. And where dispute arises is, what is that date? You know, someone says, well, I didn't know you're ending the marriage. The other says, well, I thought it was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
You know? So that can be an important point, because if you file your application earlier than 1 year from that date, the other person can object and say, I didn't think that was the end of the relationship. So it's good to get some advice if that's your situation. You've stayed
Take
living
a selfie.
together.
You know, at the moment, this is the end of our
we are. This is the end of our relationship. So it is important to get some advice if that's your situation. If you're physically separated and a year has passed, that's not a problem.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So there you go. A DIY divorce may seem cheaper and easier, but remember to assess the situation carefully and decide whether or not you require legal assistance, which we highly recommend that you do. But if you do require some assistance, don't hesitate to contact Collier Lawyers and their helpful team to help you with all of your needs. So thank you so much, Nardine.
Thanks, Bree.